Hello and welcome back to the NFL DFS slate breakdown for Monday Night Football. We have the Bucs at the Chiefs. There is some weather concerns, so make sure you check those out prior to lock to figure out which way you want to go about this. Now, I'm your host, Tyler Weeman at FlatTyler83 on X and on your DFS sites. We're going to jump into the whole slate right now, but before we do, come join us at LineStar. We always have the 7-day free trial if you've never used us before. Go to the app stores, download LineStar app, and that will get you access to our app. You can get 7 free days if you've never used us before, and you will also get access to our website. Now, let's get into it. So, 45-point total. Totals came down a little bit with the weather. We have an interesting game here. Does look like there's going to be periods of hard rain. However, there also could be periods where it's dry and not really coming down. But also thunderstorm concerns, so we could have a delay during the game at some point, which also would likely mean the game is being played, with less weather. So a lot of different ways to go with weather on it. Interesting spot in general. And let's go quarterback or position by position, starting with the quarterback spot. On DraftKings, we got Mahomes at 10K and Mayfield at 9.6K. Apparently, the DFS sites have not realized that Mahomes just isn't that great of a fantasy quarterback so far this year, or really last year. He's averaging 16.2 fantasy points, whereas Mayfield is at 25.7. Now, Mayfield does have a very depleted pass catching or receiving core, so it is going to be hard for him to get into the 25s, but he managed to do it last week. Put up 27 with this same receiving core. I expect Cade Otton to get a lot of workload and the running backs to get a lot of dump offs. All in all, I think Baker will be fine, but his ceiling is very much hurt in this matchup. It is a tough matchup versus the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has the much better matchup. 32nd ranked Bucs defense versus quarterback. They're allowing 271.8 yards a game, 1.9 touchdowns, 32 rushing yards per game, and Mahomes in definitely a good spot. I still prefer good old Baker, though, over Mahomes. Price difference, they're pretty much the same price, so it doesn't really matter. On FanDuel, Baker is 500 less than Mahomes. Another spot, it doesn't really matter. I am fine rolling with Baker. And as I talked about, Chiefs 12th versus quarterback and Tampa Bay 32nd versus quarterback. Now, running back spot is an interesting one that we really got to dive into. Kareem Hunt has been the bell cow for the Chiefs. Now, he is the only bell cow in this game, but he's versus a Tampa run D that's decent, only allowing 93 yards a game. They do rank 23rd because of 0.5 touchdowns, and they're giving it up to running backs in the passing game, but Kareem Hunt hasn't been used that much in the passing game. 1 target last week, 2 the week before, 1 before that, 3 targets week 1. He's maxed at 3 targets, even though he has 27, 22, and 21 carries. They're using him a ton, just not in the passing game. So that does hurt Kareem Hunt's, overall ceiling in this matchup, because most of the work that running backs have done to the Chiefs has been through the passing game. So I'm fine with going some Kareem Hunt, but I'm not going to go super hard on him. Now, we get to the running back spot. We got Bucky Irving, we got Rachaad White, and Sean Tucker. So Rachaad White is getting like 55% of the snaps. Bucky Irving is in the 40s, and Sean Tucker is being sprinkled in here and there. Irving is the one I am more interested in. I think he's a little more explosive, and there's this notion that he is more of just the pure runner than Rachaad White, but he's done well in the passing game. 7 targets last week for 40 yards, add in 9 attempts for 44. Week before, he had 54 receiving yards off 3 receptions, and week before that, 24 off 2. So he's been used in the passing game consistently, and I think that is going to continue in this spot. Getting over to Rachaad White, he's been also used frequently in the passing game these last couple games. He had 6 targets last week, so that's between White and Irving. That's 13 targets from Mayfield went to running backs, just these 2 running backs. I think overall, this running back spot is a very interesting one for the Bucs, and these guys are going to get targeted in the pass game a ton. When you talk about the actual rush game, the Chiefs have been so tough, only allowing 50.4 yards per game on the ground, 44 over the last 4 games. It's going to be hard to get much going on the ground. So I do think with that, Rachaad White is a little bit of a better pass catcher than Irving, so the nod does go to White in my eyes, but both guys are going to be used and are firmly in play. Excuse me. And I'd be sprinkling both of them into my lineups. Sean Tucker, he also had 1 target, so that's 14 targets to the 2 running backs, or the 3 running backs last week when Baker threw how many? 50 attempts, 14 of it. So 28% of the target share is going to running backs, and I would expect it happens again today. Cameron Steele just barely used last week. He did get used a little bit before that, and then Samaje Perine pretty much only in the passing game. So maybe taking Perine in some lineups just because the Bucs have been susceptible to receiving backs makes a little bit of sense. Now, he's going to have to get in the end zone to really be profitable, because most likely he's only going to get 2 to 4 targets. I wouldn't expect much more than that, but there is at least a path to a guy that's super low owned and, technically the RB2, but really the RB3. And on FanDuel, let's check out pricing here. So Rachaad White is much more expensive than Irving. Not surprising. Irving, I would expect Irving to get the higher ownership with that. But like I said, White and Irving, I'm absolutely in for. Kareem Hunt, I'm fine to go there. I don't have a strong opinion on him in this game to see if he gets it done. My only issue with him is the Bucs have just been giving it up to receiving backs more than real running backs or rushing backs, and Hunt is more at this stage of his career rushing than receiving. Can he catch the ball? Yes, but he hasn't been doing it this season much, which is my worry there. Now, wide receiver for this game, we got an interesting spot here. We got DeAndre Hopkins going as the highest owned at 42%. Last week, he played 32% of the snaps. He is expected to be in more this week, but I do have some worries with D-Hop. One, in Tennessee, he hasn't been playing his full snaps because he's been kind of on and off, banged up the entire year. Now he came over to the KC. He played only 32%. He's trying to get involved in this on this offense and understand it a little bit. Maybe that jumps up from 32 to 55, 60. But if part of the reason he's not playing all his snaps is that he's still a little banged up, it would make sense to keep him under 50% snaps and just really target him in key spots where they need, another legit receiving option on the field. So I'm kind of mixed on D-Hop. I think that the spot is obviously great. The Bucs haven't been great to wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver the Chiefs have, but we're really unsure how many snaps he's going to play and how involved he's going to be. At the highest owned, I think it is worth fading him a little bit. Xavier Worthy. I'm starting to get pretty interested on Worthy. So 6 targets with 1 rush 3 weeks ago, 8 in a rush, so 9 total attempts went his way. And then last week, another 8. So he is being used a lot more. His snap counts are still around the same they've been all season long, but the rate of which they are going to him is increasing. And with his speed, his ability to, just cause problems all over the field, and in a matchup that wide receivers have been able to dominate, I think Worthy is very, very interesting to bust a big play here and make some stuff happen. And I think he's going a little under-owned right now at 28%. Mecole Hardman is been used a little bit here. Only 1 target last week. The week before, though, 2 carries and 2 targets. Week before that, 4 targets. So he's getting on the field. Mahomes trusts him. I think Mahomes is going to keep going to him a little bit. The only thing is that if he doesn't get in the end zone, he's not optimal. You're pretty much end zone or bust. And then Justin Watson, he's on the field a ton, just really hasn't done anything all year round, or all year long. Now, the one thing with him, and we've seen this for a few different single game showdowns, is that he is capable of getting that 30, 40-yard touchdown pass, and with that ends up breaking the slate. So there is that chance. However, you're pretty much living and dying with that when you have him in your lineup. At least he is going super low owned. Now the Bucs wide receiver situation. So Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard are both questionable. Trey Palmer is also going to be out there. Those 3 will, if all healthy, are going to be on the field the most, but there is big time concerns. We got a hamstring injury for McMillan. He is questionable. Make sure he's on the field. He should get the most targets if he is playing. However, he has a hamstring injury, and that's not the easiest thing for a wide receiver. You're going from a stop to a full speed as quick as you can, 60 times in a game or 40 times in a game. So that's not great for a hamstring. So there are obvious concerns there. Then you got Sterling Shepard, another hamstring. He's also battled injuries for his whole career. So a little worrisome there. He did have 5 targets. The issue with him is his ADOT is going to be lower. There's not the chance of the big play like there is for Palmer or McMillan, but he's probably a little bit safer. Then you got Trey Palmer. At least he's healthy, but really not doing much. Didn't do much last year, not doing much this year. Only 2 targets last week, 3 the week before. I'm fine going some Palmer. He is absolutely the safest option right now just because he's going to be on the field for a good bit. But after that, outside of that, I do prefer McMillan and Shepard. Just really would like to know their health report. Raheem Jarrett played a little bit, had 3 targets last week, and he would probably be the guy that steps up if Shepard or McMillan is out. Ryan Miller is also there, who had 5 targets last week. So really how it comes down to with the Bucs receivers is most likely Baker's going to spread the ball around. I would say I would be surprised if there was one that had more than 8 targets or so. I would expect more so all 5 options to get, 3 to 7 targets. And then it's really a toss-up as far as which one of those does the most, as far as gets the most yards, gets touchdowns or whatever. I think you can really kind of spread it if you're doing a Bucs heavy lineup, and you can get different with all these receiving options. So at least that's interesting when it comes down to a showdown lineup and the ability to really have a solo winner this slate. On FanDuel, Worthy is the most expensive in my eyes. He should be. I'm definitely into some Worthy, and then mix and match pretty much everywhere else. The receiving options for this slate is just rough. Wide receiver 1, best matchup, Worthy. McMillan's in a tough one. D-Hop is in a great matchup for wide receiver 2, although you could say when he's on the field, he's going to be wide receiver 1, and Worthy would be 2, but, hard to really make a case for either way. Justin Watson in the best matchup for KC, wide receiver 3. Pretty much how it goes down, all down the board is wide receiver. The KC wide receiver has a better matchup than the Tampa Bay wide receiver. Now, getting over to tight end. This is an interesting one. So it's usually wide receivers we really need to talk about, not tight ends. But with the injury issues on the Bucs, they're going to Cade Otton and the running backs. Those guys are getting a majority of the work, and then the wide receivers next. Otton, 10 targets last week, 10 the week before, 6 when everybody was still healthy. He was involved in the team's game plan prior to everybody getting hurt. Now he is the focal point. He is the wide receiver 1. He's in a great matchup. Chiefs 32nd versus opponent tight ends. Very interested in some Otton here at 8,400. I'm fine taking him over Kelsey even. Now, Kelsey's in a great spot, been getting peppered with targets. Tampa Bay is 26 versus the tight end. So both tight ends, very, very interesting and willing to go with either of them. Also, Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance. I don't know if that sways anything for you guys, but if it does, there you go. Noah Gray is also someone we need to consider. 3 for 23, 4 for 66, 2 for 29, 4 for 40. He is pretty much just another pass catcher for Mahomes. They have a kind of a ragtag wide receiver core, but use their tight ends quite a bit. And Noah Gray can get, 2 to 4 catches. And if he gets in the end zone, he could be optimal at 2,800. O'Keefe hasn't been used at all. So we can just move it on over to defense. Team defense or team defensive tool. Just want to show you Tampa Bay is 32nd. And Cade Otton, it says the Chiefs are 5th. The one thing, though, is if you look at the matchups tool. Brock Bowers, 5 for 58, 6 for 92 for Kittle, 5 for 31 for Jawan Johnson. Tight ends have been able to get it done. They just haven't been getting in the end zone, and that is the big difference there. All right, now on to the defense. Don't love the spot for the Bucs defense. The Chiefs defense, however, are in a great spot. Weather concerns. Never know really how the field is going to hold up with all the rain and the wetness being a little slicker. I think the Chiefs are in a great spot. One, wide receivers are really banged up. The Chiefs don't really let you run the ball. I think it's a great spot for this Chiefs team. The other thing is that Mayfield's probably going to have to air it out, which just leads to more chances of sacks, interceptions, and all of that. The Bucs defensive side, they just let 31 points to Atlanta, 41 to Baltimore, 27 to the Saints, who just lost to the Panthers, and then 36 to Atlanta. I just can't trust this Bucs offense, even in the rain. The one thing, though, is that, there is rain and weather, and in those situations, a little more likely for some turnovers. That is pretty much the only reason I want to play the Bucs defense. Getting over to kickers, Harrison Butker is one of the best in the league, and with a slicker ball, slicker field conditions, maybe there's a couple, another attempt or two for field goals than there normally would be. And McLaughlin has been solid as well, so you can absolutely consider him. With the Chiefs defense being a little bit better, I would expect the Bucs defense to stall in the red zone areas a little more than the Chiefs offense would. But the other issue is the Bucs just might not really be able to put up many points. So I do prefer Bucker. But that will do it for us today, guys. It's an interesting Monday night. Hope you guys have a good one, and we will be back later this week with more NFL DFS content and NBA DFS stuff. Have a good one, guys. Peace.